Welcome back to the Eric Krown crypto channel, wishing you a happy, healthy start to this nice Saturday morning over here as we get prepared for the next few days of price action, basically into the midpoint of next week. I want to be speaking about what are the major biases going to be depending upon certain sort of timing and then price action, and then what that essentially means for either early February or maybe late February. Other than that, I've turned up the gain on my microphone, so hopefully you can hear my voice. It's not going to be sounding like a squeaky little rat. It's going to be sounding like a loud squeaky little rat. So that is good. And yes, I think we can maybe get into it now after I first remember to humbly request that if you do find this content valuable or useful or in some way valuable in some way, which makes no sense because it's redundant, then please do consider liking and subscribing. Even if you hate the content, then definitely do the same thing as well. And also let me know daily in the comment section how much you hate it and how much you hate me. Anyways, let's get into it right now. I want to start off with a very familiar chart, but I want to put a different twist on it because it's actually incredibly helpful in this particular scenario. This is the 12-hour HPDR chart. Sorry, this is the daily, but this is going to be the 12-hour right here. HPDR chart, which can give us a major bias depending upon the setup that is currently in place. So in this case, anytime that we do see price action close above this dark blue, 50% of historical returns range highs, that coupled with declining volatility close over closure, which we look at over here by the BBWP indicator, has indicated a nice statistically relevant setup that we can go and reference in a second. But basically, this setup would imply that price action has a higher probability of coming to the downside than the upside. Now, if we go and reference these statistics over here on the data sheet, we can see that out of 50 iterations, 50 of the past iterations, I should add, 31 out of 50 played out in that fashion to the downside. So it's a slightly higher probability to play out to the downside than versus the upside. This is not new information that I haven't spoken about before. What is coming up in a second here. But we should know that, hey, that still means that there's actually a decent probability that we could see it fail to the upside. In fact, we saw that more recently, but I think that there were some other, very obvious things that were suggesting on the prior consolidation upside was going to be a lot more likely. So in this case, I would say that the timing component of this is actually very important. So what I have not spoken about before, not at length at least, is the days that we expect this setup to play out in terms of whether it's going to be a win or a loss. Now, in this case, because it is a downside setup, winning or success on this setup means downside price action, and a loss would mean upside price action. So in this case, we found that about 7 days it does take on average in the case of success. And in the case of loss, meaning upside price action, just under 6 days. So what does that essentially mean? It essentially means that if Bitcoin fails to break out by about Tuesday, Wednesday of this coming week, very, very likely we're going to see this one have a nice 4 to 8% move to the downside based off of these stats over here first. If Bitcoin does break out in the interim before that time frame, that's kind of where we'd be looking at it for. Then we'd probably be looking at somewhere between like a 6 to 9% move to the upside, basically around $25,000. So I did think that was rather interesting because what also comes around Wednesday ish of next week. Well, we have earnings and then we also have FOMC, right? So we have a lot of catalysts, and basically that is to say that if Bitcoin fails to break out before that, probably going to be looking at a pullback first, at least more likely, statistically speaking, is what this model would suggest. So playing around with numbers over here, 4 to 8% pullback from that setup. Well, that would be what? 4% puts you where? Or let me actually do this properly. That would be good. 4% puts you, let me actually do it properly. I'm very OC about this. About upper 21, so let's say somewhere between about 21.8 to 21.9 region, basically the bottom side of this current 50% historical returns range lows, and then 8% would put you closer to about low 21, so somewhere between about 21.150 to 21.350, which is actually around the 382 Fibonacci retracement. So that would be likely, again, if we do not see a breakout to the upside, around like before Wednesday of next week. So what would constitute a breakout to the upside? It's the same conditions as before. We need to see either like at least a 4-hour closure above about 23,350. 12-hour would be like very obvious in this case. But one of the, 4-hour probably gets it. And at that point, yeah, looking at likely a big move to the upside. When I say big move, I mean, statistically speaking, probably looking somewhere around like a 9% move, which would put Bitcoin into the low 25. So that's low $25,000 territory. So again, if you don't see that happen by about Wednesday, statistics do say downside more likely first. And personally speaking, I would still say that the long term, the higher term time frame still remain bullish, especially if the monthly closes above like 21.5, which we'll go over tomorrow. Then yes, I still think that, we'd still see higher price action, but it'd probably be later in February. And if we do see a correction first, it'd probably be like a sharp one like this. That's just personal opinion. I think it'd be a nice little opportunity for a trap and get some more people super bearish, because Bitcoin's tapped the supply. It's tapped the supply. Oh, Bitcoin's tapped the supply. Bitcoin tapped the supply. Oh, Bitcoin, why don't you come over here and let me tap that supply. Yeah. Tap that supply, man. Why don't you show me how to tap that supply, bro? Let me tap that fucking supply. Can't tell you how many times I've seen that recently. And to be fair, I mean, it's a completely legitimate way of looking at price action, but it's like taps. There's like a bot cartel on Twitter of people in Discord as well. So, just talk about fucking tap supply must go down. By the way, price action doesn't need to do shit, at least in my opinion. Price action can do whatever the fuck it wants to do. In fact, if you look at it long enough, you'll very likely learn that. And if you do subscribe to Geometric Bounty Motion, which I certainly do, yeah, it is random. So random shit does happen. But yeah, it has hit the supply, or maybe just hit a resistance, or former breakdown point is something that you also might call it. So would this kind of make sense as a bit of a pullback region? Yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly not out of the question. I should mention that but Bitcoin did not put in the third drive of regular bearish divergence yesterday. So there's that. The daily is, however, building it, but that won't really fire off until we see a closure below like 23 or so. And at that point, yeah, you're probably going to see that pullback. Bro, you're going to tap that supply and see a pullback, bro. Going to see something like that. Also, referencing stochastic momentum, starting off with the daily, pressure remains to the downside, and also breaking potentially below this moving average for the first time since the rally really began in late December. If Bitcoin closes today on spot below 23,550, 12-hour time frame, nosediving below 23,450. 6-hour time frame is flippy floppy here, is actually going to turn down on the next one if it does close below 23,034, which is currently about $10 below, which is not that much. So it doesn't really mean much as of right now. 4-hour time frame will turn down below 22,950, and hourly is down, I believe, as well. Yeah, down below 23,180. So in the short term, in the near term, does Bitcoin played a bit of sideways and down, maybe test the downside of the current range lows? Perhaps, yeah. Definitely within the realm of reason, but again, the big focus is on this setup over here and kind of the timing aspect of that. So I hope that was in some way helpful. I should probably shill Bybit at this point. They got their promotion going on. It's a pretty damn good one, to be fair. 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders. I believe that only my links have that one, at least to my knowledge. Gives you that for 30 days, and and then you're on your own. You got to pay all the fucking fees again. What else? Yeah, we're also hiring a marketer. We haven't made a decision just yet, so if you do have a resume, and if you do have direct experience, of which I made a Twitter post as to what we're looking for, so please reference that before sending us anything, then yeah, feel free to send us some, because we'll be making decisions probably within the next week. We just wanted to field some more resumes, as I thought that it was better to go on Twitter, let you know kind of more or less what we're looking for, so that it's out there. All right, sweet. That's going to do it for right now. I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.